It's muted.
There we go. I think we got it fixed.
All right, then someone probably just muted. It probably was Napa, but
apologies for us running the first 18 laps here without any sound. We had our sound muted, didn't realize it. But I guess we'll just cover a couple of things that we covered here. And you guys didn't hear. We're currently 18 laps in. We got this battle going on between David Santini and Logan Helton. I'm Seth Cole alongside of Samuel Dyer, and we're bringing you race 18 of the Rapid Fire Pizza Nationals Series. And right now, Sam, I mean, we saw 2 weeks ago, we saw the BJ McLeod drivers, but last couple of weeks, they've been denied a trip to victory lane. Looks like right now, though, they've gotten themselves back into the swing of things.
Yeah, right back to where they've been most of the season, and it really dominance being shown by David Santini. But Logan Helton, he's been really hard charging back up front, and this is kind of what we've been seeing most of the time when they were dominating races, where it was Santini or Helton just leading these races and feeling pretty comfortable of being very close to one another throughout the race. But early troubles for the 01 as Matt Knight just put himself into the pits. I think he got some heavy damage on the 01. That is costing him the race. He was looking to have a good run here today, with it being his first race of the season.
We got an issue as well just now for Chris Whitaker in the 2, as he had a moment in turn 1, lost a couple of positions back to 14th. If you're just joining us, we've had some other drivers have some problems as well. Jacob Shorba we showed earlier. He's on pit road. He's been there for the last 9 minutes, currently 19 laps down. Kevin Roy in the 4 just now encountering some internet connection issues. He may have fallen out as he's currently scored 1 lap down. So a lot of stuff seems to be happening right now. And our winner from last week, TJ Crampton, is struggling. He is badly damaged. I almost wonder if maybe he and Matt Knight might have gotten into each other or something, because he's got a lot of front-end damage and a lot of rear-end damage on that Supra.
Yeah, I'm going back and seeing what exactly happened. It looked like back on lap number 9, that 66 machine got into the outside wall and then got rear-ended by Knight. And that's what cost Knight's day, as, Crampton's trying to just run out there, and it's been a struggle so far for that 66, as he was already running back around 16th position.
Logan Helton, realizing that slower car is up there, just put a real big charge on Santini going into turn 3. Slid it off of turn 4, as now Crampton will get out of the way, and this battle for the lead will not end. We also were talking about, when we came on to the broadcast, the fact that not only is there going to be a good battle for the lead here between these teammates, but we're also keeping an eye as we close in towards the end of the regular season, battling for spots inside the playoffs. One driver, Greg Newsom, the driver of the 39, announced that he would not be able to make the rest of the starts this season. So the 39 that wasn't a playoff spot, no longer there. That leaves us with 4 drivers that are right down there near the cutoff line. Cody Jordan right now would be scored 12th, but he's only 2 points ahead of Barry Stevens, 6 points ahead of Brandon Andrews, and 17 points ahead of Joshua Gordon. Stevens and Gordon having good runs right now. You got Gordon up there in the 5th position. Stevens is actually drifted back. Last I looked, he's now back to 11th. Jordan right now running in 8th. Brandon Andrews right now in 13th.
Yeah, Barry Stevens he hasn't looked comfortable, and he just got into the wall again. His yellow flag is out, actually, for the car back for, looks like it's the 2 machine, who was completely stopped. I think that might have been a connection issue for the 2, because he just drifted down the inside and just came to a complete stop. Now, it looks like he could have had some type of issue with his equipment on his end.
It's Chris Whitaker, who we saw have a near moment over in turn 1 a couple of laps ago. And it's interesting, too, that this caution comes out on lap 25, because we've seen this before at New Hampshire, where it seems just around lap 20, 25, that's where we start to see a lot of problems, and usually where we see a caution come out.
Yeah, New Hampshire is just notorious for making tire wear so difficult for these drivers. And then with this series being an open setup series, it's allowing you to have yourself setups that maybe will help with your tire wear. But with this caution, it helps a lot of those drivers that have been having troubles with their setups and putting in those little adjustments to help help your car on exit, because there are a lot of machines that have been hitting those outside walls.
Last week's winner, TJ Crampton, is going to get the free pass, so he'll be back on the lead lap, giving us 18 cars that'll be back on the lead lap here. as this is what happened to Whitaker, and there's no contact with anybody. The car, as you said, just turns down to the inside wall, makes some contact with the left front, and then comes to a stop. So, yeah, that could possibly have maybe been a game freezing or something like that, I would assume.
I believe I heard over the radio for the drivers that his VR setup or something on his monitor side shut it off, so he just drifted his car to the inside, put the brakes on, so we didn't make any other contact with any other drivers, and that's what brought out our first caution of the day for Whitaker. And at least it wasn't a heavy damage that he took hitting the inside wall, but enough damage that it will affect that 2 machine later on. And this helps Matt Knight as well as it helps other drivers that had contact like Crampton and others that have heavy damage on their cars to get that fixed up.
That also is very fortunate for Chris Whitaker that it occurred where it did, that he was able to get on the brakes and it came to a stop before going into the corner, because if that had happened maybe a little bit further down the straightaway, that car probably would have gone straight up and into the outside wall, would have had a lot more contact.
Yeah, I probably would have kept on drifting to the inside, could have gone through the grass, would have made contact with someone else, so very fortunate on where it happened for sure. Well, we're getting to that time where now we got to think about strategy-wise. It was already looking like this could have been a one-stopper if people could save their tires enough. And now this is for sure looking like it could turn into at least one more stop from here on out.
And of course, too, it's all going to come down to if your driver's back behind Santini, like Helton, Bowers, Matt White, Ty McWhirter, how much do you want to push it? Do you want to maybe be a little bit conservative, save it for the long run, or do you want to be aggressive, get the positions early while everybody's lined up? Because we saw the field get really spread out. We had little battles here and there. They kind of got stacked back up around 7th place on back, but up towards the front, they got very spread out. So this is the closest these drivers have really been since the green flag to be able to try and make some passes.
Well, looking right now on drivers that were trying to run but just weren't able to. The 6 machine of Joseph Madigan did not or could not get out onto the track and start the green, and Kevin Roy, another machine that has gone behind the wall because of internet issues. I don't know if we'll see the 4 car back in this race, but hopefully that Flex Seal machine can get back into here, because he wasn't having the best run, but he was still looking pretty good today.
Yeah, and of course as well, we have to consider the fact that if he does finish where he's at, which right now is 20th, he was only 45 points ahead of the cutoff line. And with the fact that Jordan, Stevens, Andrews, Gordon are all still in this race, he could find himself in a bit of a critical situation heading into next week's race.
It's going to be interesting to see, because I know Kevin Roy hasn't had the best races recently, and it's only going to get more difficult from here on out as we're getting closer and closer to playoff time.
It's like David Santini is going to choose the outside line here for the restart. He had to start on the inside line for the initial start of this race. He'll put Helton on the bottom, and you saw the 0-1 of Matt Knight going around, getting one of his 2 laps back after making an unscheduled pit stop, taking the wave around. So he, along with Chris Whitaker, looks like actually Matt Knight was 3 laps down. This now puts him 2 laps down. Chris Whitaker is 1 lap down. We've got 17 cars currently on the lead lap as Jacob Shorba still sits on pit road. Actually, Whitaker back down pit lane here. Like maybe a gas and go for the 2 car as we're getting ready to go back green.
I'm interested to see Santini on the outside this time, as last time he kind of put the 8 machine on the outside. He was stuck there for a bit, so might be trying to help his teammate out a little bit so he's not stuck in having to battle the cars behind him. We'll see if the teammates work together here as Santini takes off with a huge jump, and the outside line was not ready to go.
Absolutely not. He left Carson Bowers and Matt White as Helton's going to move into the 2nd spot. Battle's going to be for 3rd. The Colleague Racing teammates, White on the top side, Bowers on the bottom, and here comes that 20 of Ty McWhirter, who we saw do a pretty good job there on that last 25-lap run, working his way through the field.
Yeah, side-by-side action still for 3rd place, and White looking good to get by Bowers. And, Bowers has been looking pretty solid the last couple of weeks, trying to continue that run with another 3rd place finish if we can get that.
We mentioned before we ended up realizing that our sound wasn't coming through, Matt White officially making his series debut here tonight. He was scheduled to take the green last week at Kentucky, but did not come back into the server prior to...
Oh, Tim Williams goes in the inside wall.
No caution as it apparently was out of the way. Brings it back up onto the track. And we are still green, but boy, he lost a lot of spots.
He got lucky. He drifted into the grass and somehow found the divot into the inside wall where he didn't hit anything. That 19 machine had a lot of grass and probably a lot of worn down tires, but still able to continue chugging along.
Yeah, people may not know it too, but there's a road course here at New Hampshire, and it looked like when he came back on the track, he went over one of the road course sections, hitting the rumble strip. That car went a little bit airborne, and I remember back when we were at Charlotte for the Soda Guys Cup Series, we asked Vincent Arthur, who went through the grass, did that cause any suspension problems? And he said, yes, it did. So I almost wonder if that 19 may struggle with something like that now.
Yeah, there's probably going to be a little bit of damage for the 19 machine, and luckily he just got loose and then hit that, so it might cause a little bit of toe damage, but most of all, I think that 19 machine should be all right. Pretty much everyone's single filed out as we're entering and coming closer to lap 34.
Take a look at this. Before, when we went green to initially start this race, it was the David Santini, Logan Helton show, but Matt White has not let these Supras get away. Those three only separated by half a second.
Yeah, I mean, when
Helton got loose.
When we took the green, Matt White and Helton were the ones that were side by side, and they were almost a second back from Santini, and then they finally got cycled into being single filed out. So them finally getting single filed out early and staying with one another is helping this 11 a lot as he is getting closer and closer to Helton.
Yeah, and I'm when you do these broadcasts week after week, you kind of get a sense of the style of racing of drivers. Logan Helton, two things I've learned about him. He likes loose race cars, and he likes to drive it deep into the corner because he has been able to close up the distance between himself and his teammate from the entrance of the corner to the center just about every single lap.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, like the 99 and the 8 teammates running pretty similar setups. It's just Logan loves to run this thing super loose, and Santini loves to run that thing as stable as possible, and you really don't see the 8 machine losing that much time. But man, it's kind of terrifying at times seeing how loose he gets around these courses.
Ooh, Roger Gregory just got loose there as well off of turn 4 as Brandon Andrews just moved up a spot. Highest he's run all day, currently in the 9th position. 6 points he came into this race behind a playoff spot to Cody Jordan, who is a teammate out of Junior Motorsports. Jordan right now, though, 2 spots ahead of him, currently in the 7th position.
Yeah, Cody Jordan, he was looking like he had some good race pace during practice, but it just has not, moved on, and he has just been not running as fast as I thought he was going to be, just 7th at the moment.
We may have had a near issue there for TJ Crampton. Don't know if he may have gotten up into the wall or not, but he's lost a couple of positions, one to Kyle Payne and one to Tim Williams, who is charging back to the front. Yeah,
Crampton's just not having a great day. He's running high and just getting into the wall more and more as he does once again off of 2. The 66 machine is trying to just limp his way through, and it is not working as we're not even at the halfway marker in this. He's just struggling with this just beat-up machine.
The other driver that's struggling, though his car is still in one piece, is Barry Stevens. Well, I say that. Looks like he's actually made some contact with that right front quarter panel on his 78.
Yeah, he's been scraping that outside wall every once in a while, and there goes Roger Gregory, really low, coming loose off of 2, as he'll be giving that position to the 78 machine of Barry Stevens. And yeah, no, Stevens he's been grazing the wall every once in a while, and one of these times he must have hit it harder than all the rest.
Good run so far for the 08 of Hilton Young. Made his debut back a few weeks ago, I believe it was at Pocono. And we've seen him running usually around 15th, somewhere between 15th and 20th. Right now, 13th place run. Good run there for the the SS Greenlight Racing entry.
Yeah, we've used to seeing Hilton, running around the back of the pack, and then he'll either have a nice charge in the middle of the race and then get himself caught up into a late accident, or he'll be caught up in an early accident that'll just ruin his race. Just luck hasn't been on his side, but right now looking pretty solid at the moment. Yeah, right now the battle for 10th is getting intense.
Yeah, we talk about Hilton Young, and then he went up and brushed the wall there in turns 3 and 4. So we'll jump up to this battle as you're talking about for 10th place. Jeffrey Meyer, Barry Stevens, Roger Gregory all in this.
It just seems like one car will get the advantage, and then it'll brush the outside wall, and then the other 2 machines will get back in there. And it's just, it continues to be a crossover move on one another consistently, and you never know who's going to be the one leading. And it's really annoying as a driver to try to just continuously battle this hard early in a run, because you got so much more of a race to continue on, as we're only about 15 laps on your tires right now. For the next 10 laps, your tire wears are going to drop quickly.
I'm going to ask you, Sam, we're seeing a lot of these drivers, for the most part, when they have the opportunity to choose which lane they want to take.
Caution's out.
Oh, caution's out, so we'll hold that question. As Ty McWhirter in the 20 is the reason this caution is out, and he was running up inside the top 5. He was 5th just moments ago.
We're trying to get a better view of this. I don't know if it was net code or actual contact from Gordon. And there was actual contact with the 20 and the 93 entering the corner, and around the 20 goes.
This was, as I said, the battle for the 5th spot. Oh. And McWhirter trying to save it. Overcorrects it up into the outside wall, contact with the right front, and as I said, the worst part of it is he was running up inside the top 5 at the time. That was a wreck up at the front of the field. Pretty fortunate, though, that the car drifted up to the outside wall, because that could have maybe been a couple other drivers collected up in that.
Yeah, and luckily the 20 machine was sliding and slowed down enough that it shouldn't be too much of contact. It's going to hurt him just a little bit, but not enough to really ruin the 20's day, as he still has enough speed to really get himself back up in at least the top 10. Might be able to get himself back in the top 5. Joseph Gordon really came in. Yeah, it's just...
that was an interesting strategy there. I was looking at... They've been out there for 17 laps, now 18. I think they've run about 14 of those laps under green flag conditions. I expected to see everybody back on pit road, but top 4 all decided to stay out.
I thought for sure we would have seen Matt White and the rest of the crew behind him to drop into the pits, but a lot of drivers staying out. There's about 8 machines staying out there. But Gordon, immediately after the contact, came onto the radio and said, sorry, that was my bad. I just came in a little bit too hot. And, immediately McWhirter came back and said, it is totally all right. It's a racing incident.
So Gordon was the first one to pit road. Jeffrey Meyer was also on the pit lane. Looked like he was the first one off pit road, so he'll restart in 9th place. Kyle Payne, Brandon Andrews, Hilton Young, Tim Williams. This caution was a big break for him. He was doing a great job making forward progress after his near spin off of 2 on the back straightaway, but this helps him to be back up with everybody else. And another driver that's going to be very fortunate with this caution, Chris Whitaker, going to get the free pass, so he'll be back on the lead lap.
Interesting call by Jeffrey Meyer, going with the 2 left side tires. So he'll be going with the 2-tire stop, putting himself 9th, being the first car of all the drivers that came into the pits.
And I'm not sure. Looks like maybe Kyle Payne went with a fuel-only stop?
I'm looking to see, as his stop was kind of confusing to see because he was his internet was making him glitch in and out. And I think he did just go with a fuel-only stop. I never saw his tires go up. So the 21 machine going with the risky move. Honestly, if you're coming into the pits, you're better off just taking tires. Have that advantage over everyone else. But instead, just going with fuel and trying to go with that long-run strategy instead.
I agree. So Jeffrey Meyer is going to be back in 9th on 2 fresh right side tires. Joshua Gordon 10th on 4 fresh tires. We'll see, depending on how long a run we go into here, how those 4 fresh tires manage to get any advantage over the top 8. I remember, other previous broadcasts we've done, there is a certain point where those 4 fresh tires actually do equal out to the older tires, but it's a question of just how much forward progress Gordon can make before that happens.
Yeah, and as viewers, you might be thinking, why don't they just take as many tires as they can? There is a tire limit for these drivers. You can only have 4 sets of tires. And so something with these top 8 drivers, they might be thinking, hey, we've had a caution almost every 20 laps or so. Let's not use up all our tires this early on. Let's just use 1 set now, save those 3 for later on in the race.
So those 8 drivers that decided to stay out, Santini, Helton, Matt White, Carson Bowers, Cody Jordan, Evan Longacre, Barry Stevens, and Roger Gregory. Those 8 did not come to pit road. They're going to have about 14 to 15 green flag laps on their tires, and if we total in the pacing laps, it looks like there's going to be about 21 to 22 laps on their tires when we go green.
Well, it's looking like Santini's going to go with the inside this time around, so it might be just, switching it up, trying to figure out what lane he really likes. Oh, and makes the swap now, going back to the outside. I think the outside is much cleaner for these teammates to make this move of really setting each other up in line and single filed out as soon as possible. As we were seeing them do that on that last restart, expecting to see the same early restart from Santini again.
Well, with Santini jumping up there, we can transition into that question I was going to ask you just before the yellow flag flew. A lot of drivers, when they have the choice, they run the higher lane, kind of the middle line there, straddling the dark gray area up to the light gray area going into the corners. What is it about that groove in particular that everybody seems to like?
You're just able to carry the speed a lot more in the center point than you are down below by the yellow line. The yellow line, it's so flat there that you're really not able to keep your speed, and you're kind of using up your tires a little bit more. So they want to stay there, keep their speed up, and also save those tires just a little bit.
Green flag back in the air as we're nearing a third of the way through this race. Santini with the jump. Helton tries to clear for second, but Carson Bauer says, I want to battle you for that second position. He's going to stay alongside. They're 3 wide further back. That was Evan Longacre, way wide going through turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, Longacre is trying to get some type of redemption, finishing the top 5 again. He was on a huge streak of finishing in the top 5 for the longest time, and then he's had a couple of bad weeks. But, White dropped back all the way back to 6th place, and it's in the Hornets' nest with some of the guys with fresher tires.
Here come the 4 tires of Joshua Gordon. He split Roger Gregory and Barry Stevens through 3 and 4. Now looks to the inside of White. That's for the 6th position.
The fresher tires running about 6/10 faster than what everyone else is doing, so I'm not surprised to see Gordon making all these moves, but this is when you get nervous with the guys on older tires and fresher tires. You could be getting some contact and not knowing how quick you're going to be coming into the corners, as it looks like Jeffrey Meyer might have ran into somebody.
Jeffrey Meyer now dropping back to the 11th spot as they're 3 wide ahead of him. Oh, gracious. Brandon Andrews looked to go to the inside of, I think that was Barry Stevens. Stevens closed the door.
Caution to the back. Oh, it's the 2 machine again, and John Jones.
Oh, we had another spin further up, I think. Might have, maybe not. It looked like someone was out of shape going into turn 1.
Oh, my. This caution is bad, as there's about 3 machines involved, and Hilton Young, we were talking about him earlier, having a good run, caught up in the middle of an accident. Unlucky for the 08.
See, the whole hood is gone on both Hilton Young and Chris Whitaker's machines. And third driver that might have been collected up in this was, I think, the Hello Kitty Chevrolet of John Jones, as the whole front grille of that car is gone. We'll go back and see what happened to them all.
It was, that second machine that you saw spinning was Jeffrey Meyer, who made a little bit of contact with the 19 and wheel hopped it.
Not sure if he hit anything, because it looked like everybody kind of kept maintaining the pace speed. So we'll take a look at both incidents. We'll first look at Whitaker here off of 4. They were nearly 4 wide coming off of turn 4, and got some damage as well there on the 20 of Ty McWhirter after all this.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. You saw drivers with a whole bunch of different tire strategies coming together and trying to make the best moves as fast as possible when everyone's so close, and it was just a hornet's nest, and contact was bound to be made.
Jump back here again, take a look at the view from the 20 of McWhirter, as he was in the middle of that 4 wide. That's Kyle Payne on the bottom, who went with fuel only. And it just looks like Chris Whitaker just didn't realize he wasn't clear on the 15, or didn't realize that the 15 had that run out of turn 4.
It's probably just the closing speed for these guys. Yeah, that's the difference between fresh tires and not fresh tires, is you're not used to the difference in closing speed you're coming in with, and that is where we saw that contact made. And looking at to see what drivers are going to be coming in the pits and who's not. So I'm expecting to see some of these drivers up front possibly coming to the pits, and waiting to see who's going to make the move here as they're coming close to the pit lane.
Great save there by Jeffrey Meyer in the 38. That could have been bad, as Drivers were getting ready to slow up for the pace car to pick them up here for these pacing laps.
Ooh. No one's coming into the pits. Everyone is staying out except for the drivers that were involved with that incident that caused the caution. I think McWhirter was the only one that came back into the pits to do more repairs on that 20 machine.
Repass car, I believe, is going to be the 0-1 of Matt Knight. He's on pit road right now. This puts him to 1 lap down, so another caution would put him back on the lead lap.
I'm trying to figure out, I believe Matt White might have been given an EOL, as well as John Jones given an EOL. I believe Matt White was given one for coming and changing lanes too early before crossing that checkered flag, crossing the line.
So that's going to drop White all the way back to about the 16th position. Jones back to 17th. And the thing I'm thinking about here with these drivers with the strategy, you mentioned the limited number sets of tires that they have. They've already used up 1 at this point, and we are just now past a third of the way through this race. But the thing about restarts is, I mean, these drivers are out there on these worn tires. They're having difficulty on the long run anyway, finding grip going into the corner, but now they're having the cycle of the tires being heated up under green flag conditions, and then they cool down and start picking up some debris here under pacing.
Yeah, I mean, our top 3, I feel very confident on the fact that they can get through and not wheel spin it. But, you know, everyone that's on these older tires, you've got to be worrying about wheel spins happening. And looking at more drivers given EOLs for Chris Whitaker given an EOL. And, you know, some of these EOLs that were given out for John Jones and Chris Whitaker for that incident that went down. So, but looking at drivers that have moved up with those fresher tires, it's going to be Gordon, and who's 6th right now in that 93 machine, up to 6th place. I mean, that's a pretty good jump for 3 positions on just the few amount of laps we were on.
And now with these this restart here, you know, obviously with running under these pacing laps, does that 93 still have an advantage with the tires he has as opposed to the drivers in front of him?
Yeah, he's only had about 3 or 4 laps of green flag racing on those tires, so still the advantage is with the 93. I expect him to really be able to pass all these drivers in front of him and possibly get himself up into the lead. Really, our leaders are looking to stay green for the next about 15, 20 laps, and then if a caution comes out, expect them to come into the pits, do possibly their final pit stop of the race if we go green to the end.
Well, Joshua Gordon came into this race 17 points back of a playoff position, but if he went to victory lane here today, he'd be locked into the playoffs, and that would knock probably Cody Jordan out, as Jordan's going to be restarting up here on the outside of row 2 in the 4th position. But it's Santini and Helton. Santini on the top side, Helton on the bottom yet again for this restart, as we're going to be going back green, it looks like, with a total of 95 laps to go here at New Hampshire.
Switching things up with Santini, kind of backed everyone else down, which really kind of set everyone else back, jamming them all up. Cody Jordan now up to 3rd place, trying to get under the 8 machine, trying to make a power move, just not able to, is cautioned the back.
Kyle Payne in the 21, looks like maybe somebody else back here in turn 1 as well.
I believe Kyle
maybe
Payne.
Maybe it was just him, I saw smoke.
Might have been Hilton Young. I know Payne has been, the smoke was from Payne, Hilton Young came in hard in the 21, contact made between them. Only rear end damage really to Payne at the moment.
A guy right now that's seeing these quick cautions come out and is thinking, man, this is not helping me, and that's the 93, because Joshua Gordon wants to have those longer runs to be able to utilize those fresh tires.
I know the one thing that was different for Young there was the fact that 21 of Payne has been blinking in and out due to his internet connection, so that could have thrown off Young just a little bit entering the corner, not expecting the 21 to be there.
Yeah, I mean, we looked at it there on the replay, and by the time the 21 reappeared, he was already halfway through the entrance of the corner, and apparently does not take the corner nearly as fast as some of these other guys, so not that easy to be able to slam on the brakes if you're Hilton Young after having that much momentum going into the first corner.
Yeah, Hilton Young came in with fresher tires. It might have been only for about 8 laps fresher tires compared to Payne's, who was on, I believe he was on 8-lap older tires. So it could have been the difference on why they were coming in at different speeds. But yeah, it doesn't help when you blink right before entering a corner and then blinking back into the race in the middle of the corner. Just the contact was made, and you hate to see the contact, and I think that's going to hurt Young more than it does Payne.
Pits were open last time around. None of our race leaders came to pit road, and obviously the question is, when do you come to pit lane? If you're some of these guys back here like Jordan, Bowers, Evan Longacre, Barry Stevens that are on the same strategy as your top two, there's got to be some point where you decide that you're going to come to pit road under a caution period that the two race leaders aren't. Try and get yourself some track position that way.
Yeah, I mean, I believe most of these guys, their strategy is to make it to at least lap 75, if not lap 80, and then if there's a caution coming to the pits, that is their marker that they're looking for to try to get to the halfway point. And then after that, you got 2 sets of tires to work with for the rest of the 75 laps to 70 laps left in this race. So that's what these drivers are trying to aim for, not to utilize all their tires in this first half of the race, but to have them for the last half.
Saw just a moment ago, Matt Knight going around, getting the free pass. He was the lucky dog under this caution. He is now back on the lead lap after he lost 3 laps for an unscheduled pit stop back during the first green flag stint. Kyle Payne extended stay on pit road for the 21. He is now a lap down, so we currently have a total of 19 cars on the track, 18 of them currently on the lead lap.
Yeah, that's going to be helping. I mean, it's good to have Knight be able to get back on the lead lap. 17th. He's been a couple of laps down, and all these quick cautions put him back on the lead lap. And we'll see if the 01 has enough pace to put himself in the top 15. I know he had some heavy damage that he's been trying to repair all race long. See if he's got enough speed to put himself at least top 15. If not, make a surprise, getting that top 10.
And of course, as we draw closer to the end of the regular season, the thing we will focus an awful lot on here in these final few races will be the playoffs. Right now, the 4 drivers that came into this race separated by 19 points right around the cut line, all running up inside the top 10. Cody Jordan's going to roll off from 3rd, Joshua Gordon from 5th, Barry Stevens 7th, and Brandon Andrews in 8th.
You're talking about drivers that might have to change it up, try a different strategy. I know Matt White was given an EOL penalty, so he came into the pits, got some fresh tires. He's only back in 15th on 6-lap older tires compared to everyone else that's on around 16 to 34-lap old tires. So he's back in 15th position, has the freshest tires, probably the fastest car back here. He's someone to watch out for that could be making a run here on these drivers on older tires.
Could be trying to continue the streak, too, as so far in the past 2 weeks, it's been a debuting driver making their first start that's gone to victory lane, with Burcroft back at the Indy Road Course and TJ Crampton last week at Kentucky. So could we go 3 for 3 with that 11 leaf filter Chevrolet Camaro of Matt White? We'll have to wait and see. As White throw out top pace car, we're getting ready to go back green yet again. This time, it's going to be with less than 90 laps to go.
I mean, White was my pick. I know the broadcast didn't pick it up, but I did mark White as someone to watch out for just because of the trends that we've been on the last couple of weeks. So with the difference of strategies, it really throws in a wrench for these BJ McLeod guys. With them on older tires, is it going to work out for them, or are they on the money stops and ideas of on how to win this race? As the green flag's out, there goes David Santini.
Santini again, a very clean restart and a good jump. At least a car length and a half going into turn 1 as Cody Jordan, boy, drove it really deep into the corner. He may pay the price as here comes the 16 of Carson Bowers crossing him over out of 2.
Yeah, Jordan did that on the last restart. It almost cost him then, and it's going to cost him here now as you got Bowers on the inside of that 9 machine trying to get the pass done, just not able to get it. But here comes Gordon on those fresher tires trying to get by these 2.
Let's see which lane he takes. Looks like he's going to keep his car up to the top side. See if Jordan can clear the 16 of Bowers for 3rd place and allow him to then get alongside of Bowers for 4th. Looks like that's the strategy for the moment. He may be able to take them 3 wide here if he gets a good enough run down the back straightaway.
Ooh, Jordan just barely scraping the wall, and this is hurting Gordon a ton as the more that he's stuck behind these two, he's not able to utilize those tires and to get by and try to challenge for a top 2 position.
Riding on board the 93 of Joshua Gordon. Look at just how close they are going through the corners here, as this is the side-by-side battle for 4th place. Meanwhile, up towards the front, you can see
Caution to the back.
caution's out.
And it's the Hello Kitty machine once again. It looks like it might have been contact or him hitting the wall. It was him losing it off of 4 and dumping it into the inside wall.
It has been a tough night for the JD Motorsports drivers. Roy is already out of the race due to connection issues. Matt Knight has been having some problems, falling multiple laps down. This is at least the 2nd wreck that John Jones has been involved in tonight.
2nd wreck possibly could be even more than that. I know I've seen him racing the wall every once in a while. The 15 machine has just not been having a great day, as now his car is looking more and more like a destruction derby machine, kind of like some of the other machines here in the back.
Now, we've seen the Willem Modifieds here before, but that's what the 15's almost looking like right now, as there was no contact. That car just got way out of shape there, coming off of turn 4, and got the inside wall with the left front. So a solo car incident off of turn 4 puts under the caution for the 5th time here today. And I mean, we're getting closer to that target lap you were talking about there, Sam, 75 to 80, but we're 10 laps away. So do the leaders continue to stay out, continue to wait for the possibility of some more of these possible restart yellows?
I would imagine they're going to continue to stay out and expect to see more cautions come out for these drivers, as we're going to have about 3 cars coming into the pits. It's going to be Whitaker, Young, and Jones coming into the pits. Trying to get all the repairs done that they can. And yeah, I would imagine they're trying to hit that marker of the halfway. I mean, they've been out there for 40 laps. These cautions have helped these tires kind of last longer than they should have been. So, it's allowing these guys to continue to stay out. But like I said, with Gordon, with him seeing Bowers and Jordan just holding him up for so long, it's going to help equalize these tires more and more.
Well, he had to restart that last time on the outside line of row 3. Now he'll be on the inside, as he'll be restarting in 5th. So we'll see if he can make more forward progress, because one thing that I definitely saw 2 restarts ago was because of the fresher tires, he was able to get a lot better bite off the inside line off of the turn 2 and 4. And that really gave him an advantage on the straightaway. So if he can be able to get to the inside of these guys in the corners, I don't think there's any way they're going to be able to hold him off. As you saw, Kyle Payne, he's going to get the free pass. So all 19 cars running. Well, I was going to say all 19. Actually, 18 of the 19 cars running are now in the lead lap. John Jones actually has fallen a lap down. Extended repairs for him on pit road. Well, as David Santini has some fun with a pace car here, we're going to wait until these lights go out atop the pace machine to put us back underway. We're entering towards the second half of this race, and we're going to step aside for a quick commercial break and be back for the restart here at New Hampshire. We're going to take you FRN side by side. getting ready to go back green here on lap 70 of 150 at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, as David Santini has dominated this race, but he hasn't been able to get away from everybody, largely due to the fact we've now run 5 cautions this evening. He and his teammate Logan Helton, who started the front row, remain the front row here for this restart as we're closing in on the second half of this race.
And right now you got Santini on the high side, then you also got the 16 and the 10 following suit. But you got to give credit to Bowers. A fantastic start on his part as he stays with the 8 machine, but Santini takes off like a rocket ship.
And now Bowers will swing around the outside. Look at that. Was able to drive it really deep there into turn 1. Continues the momentum off of 2. He'll clear for second place. It's the first time that Santini looks in his rearview mirror and sees someone other than his teammate.
Yeah, Bowers is really looking good. That 16 machine has been looking stronger and stronger as the run goes on. And they're all on equal tires here for the top 4. All on those 44, now 45 lap-old tires. Comparatively, it's Gordon back in that 93 machine, back in 5th, who's trying to utilize the better tires compared to the 4 in front.
Carson Bowers, you talk about him getting better as the run goes on. He's gotten better as the weeks have gone on. It's something has suddenly seemed to click with that 16 team, and his finishes have been getting better and better each and every week. And very important here as we close in towards the end of the regular season. Contact for 4th between Gordon and Jordan, and you definitely can get the feeling that the fresher tires that are underneath Joshua Gordon, he's getting frustrated with these guys.
And Cody Jordan's just been trying to race really aggressive so far. Aggressive entering, aggressive defensive-wise, trying to hold off everyone he can. That 9 machine just not able to do it as those tires are going to fall suit to the fresher ones.
And you got to remember, why is he doing this? Well, he's like one of the drivers in that 4-way conversation for a playoff spot. He's only 2 points to the good over Barry Stevens in the 78, who's only about 4 cars behind him.
And behind Jordan, you're going to be seeing Longacre and Tim Williams. Last time we talked about him, he was going through the grass on the backstretch. He has now gotten that car repaired and now up to 7th, now battling for 6th against Longacre.
A lot of times Tim Williams seems to have a great run going and then runs into issues. Maybe he's gotten the issue out of the way early here, and now everything's going to be good for him the rest of the way. Tremendous comeback as he's trying to work his way back up into the top 5 in that 19 car. He will complete the pass on Longacre out of 4, move him up to P6.
You drift back just 1 position from Longacre. You got Matt White, who is on the fastest and freshest tires out there right now. 20 lap-old tires comparatively to Williams and Jordan's 30 lap-old tires. So 10 laps better than what we were saying was the best out here. So that 11 machine, he was running up there in the 4th position before he got the EOL. Now he's up to 8th place when he was back to 15th, 16th position.
As of right now, we have, I believe, 6 drivers that have not been to pit road since back on lap 26. They've been able to stay out here on the last 4 restarts. That's Santini, Bowers, Helton, Cody Jordan, Evan Longacre, Barry Stevens. They still have only made 1 pit stop here today.
And now they're kind of in that window where if there is a caution, they'll make it on fuel, but they're trying to have the best tires at the end of the run, as now it is our top 3 as Gordon gets by Jordan. And, you see Gordon now battling Helton, trying to get up to the top 3 position.
Tim Williams here in the 19 actually on the same lap tires as the 93 of Joshua Gordon, so that's why he's making forward progress as quickly as he is as well. As right now, it looks like it's going to be the battle for 3rd up ahead of them. That's Joshua Gordon trying to reel in Logan Helton.
And it's about to be 3 wide action here for 5th place. As in backing off is going to be Longacre, as Tim Williams was having some troubles behind him. But on the outside, it's going to be Matt White holding suit and getting by the 10 machine.
Now, one thing we have seen an awful lot here, Sam, in both this and the Soda Guys Cup Series is the early cautions, but then we get to the second half of the race.
White gets to the 9. And Jordan's going to save it. No, he doesn't. Barry Stevens involved in a spin out, and a yellow comes out.
I shouldn't have said anything. I was going to mention a long green flag run to the end, and as soon as I'm getting ready to say that, wrecked there in turns 1 and 2, and that's a couple of drivers that were in the foursome we were talking about that are in the hunt for a playoff spot.
A little bit of contact for McWhirter, who's in the 20. It was just a simple bystander, as well as Barry Stevens, as the 9 car tried to save it, drifted back into the racing line, and contact made.
Jordan was 2 points to the good. Stevens was 2 points out of the 12th and final playoff spot, and this has to have Brandon Andrews and Joshua Gordon licking their chops as an opportunity to pounce, as we'll go back and take a look at the incident through 1 and 2.
It's going to cycle around Matt White, who's just trying to get through this field as fast as possible, and with this contact, could be given an EOL, put himself back behind the field again for the second time this race.
Well, Matt White had those fresher tires, and you made this point earlier, the fact that when you're on fresher tires, there's such a different approach in how you attack the entry to the corner as opposed to a driver that's on worn tires. And here it is right here. There's the contact. Ooh, that actually wasn't even really the speed carried into the corner. That was more the 11 car just kind of pushed up.
Yeah, pushed up and, just rolled into him. And you hate to see that type of contact, but the 11 car's trying to move. And, Jordan's been very aggressive on the defensive, but that was more so of the 11 just drifting up just a little bit too much.
We checked the heart rate on Chris Whitaker, because as the 9 was getting ready to drive away and the 78 was backing up, the 2 was able to split the both of them, but barely.
Oh, and then you've also got Young later on, who had to avoid Barry Stevens, who backed up. So, really a nervous time for all the drivers back there. As our leaders, the drivers that were staying out for the longest, all come in. And right now, only the top 5 cars out on the track did not pit. And that leading off that is going to be Tim Williams on those 35-lap old tires. That gap between fresh tires and new tires is going to be massive.
And I'm going to ask you the question, if we're looking at guys like, the 2 teammates there of Santini and Helton, if we're looking at others that came to pit road like Longacre, Brandon Andrews, is this the final stop of the day?
I mean, so these guys still have 2 more tires to work with. I would imagine if we have at least another caution in the next 30 to 40 laps, I would imagine to see them coming in. But right now, if we go green, this is their final stop, and Adamant's deciding that the 11, for being too aggressive, got hit with EOL and will be dropping back.
So Matt White going to have to work his way from the back to the front once again.
But this time it's going to be a lot more harder for the 11.
Oh, yeah.
Just because everyone else is on equal tires, as before he was the car on the advantage with the best tires out there.
There you see the 11 dropping to the rear of the field, and with the caution coming out, everybody is back on the lead lap, so this drops him all the way back to 18th place. As when we came back from the commercial break, John Jones had actually taken his car back behind the wall, so he joins Kevin Roy, his teammate, in the garage area. Jacob Sharba continues to sit on pit lane. He's currently 79 laps down, scored in 21st place. So 18 cars still running, all 18 on the lead lap. And you look at some of these guys up here at the front right now. Tim Williams, we saw him go through the back straightaway infield grass. Matt Knight, we saw get into the wall, fall 3 laps down. And TJ Crampton's been in the wall quite a bit early on this race. That's your top 3.
I'm extremely surprised to see Crampton still out here. Thought for sure he'd come in, try to get even more damage repaired on that 66 machine, because he is at an awful first 50 laps or so. And he's got no rear bumper. That whole entire right side's just cramped in. I got to wonder if that 66 machine's just going to get out of the way, or if he's really going to try to battle with all these cars behind him that have fresher tires.
Now, I'll be interested to see here about the 11 of Matt White, and no, he is not going to come to pit road. Now, I don't understand this. I was fully expecting to see on my telemetry him backing down to pit road speed because of the fact he's been out there on 28 lap old tires. He's already getting hit with an EOL. Why not come down pit road and get those tires? But then again, he's already taken 2 sets.
That's the thing. He's already taken 2 sets. He's got to save the other 2 for later on in this run. Save 1 for possibly once we get into 20 laps into this run, and then come into the pits if there's another caution that comes out, as we've been having a caution the longest run we've had is probably 25 laps or so. So around that marker would be the time that we want to see that 11 machine come back in, get fresher tires, as Barry Stevens puts his car into the pits, try to get more repairs done, as he does not have a hood, and he was involved in that last caution.
I'm looking here. The one driver that may be at a little bit of a deficit would be Joshua Gordon, because he actually did come to pit road under this last caution as well. So if I'm correct, I'm assuming he's only got one set of tires still left.
The 01 of Matt Knight did not get going, and that whole tire outside line stays put, which is going to hurt the BJ McLeod guys, which now puts Carson Bowers in the best spot, as now he's going to be getting under the 66 and going for second place.
We saw Carson Bowers on the last restart was able to make his way around Logan Helton then for second place, so he's definitely got the speed to be able to race here with the BJ McLeod Motorsports drivers. And Logan Helton, he's going to move by Santini as well, so Santini now finds himself in a situation he hasn't been in all race long, and that's back in traffic.
Back in traffic in dirty air. He got caught up behind Crampton, and caution in the back. Not surprised. It's a huge one. Matt White is also involved, as well as Young. And I believe that was the 01 that was involved, as well as Payne. A lot of machines involved with this. Is also the 12 involved. The 9. Oh, that is horrible to see. I was about to bring up the point that the 01 was blinking a little bit, which could have caused these guys to get into contact that they really were not ready for.
I think we may have had a wreck and then a follow-up wreck, because I saw Ty McWhirter, Cody Jordan, and Roger Gregory all back in the same vicinity, and that was about maybe a couple hundred yards behind the incident up further with Matt White and company.
Looking at this, and off the corner. Oh, it's a 38 getting into Knight, and then it just clustered coming off of 4.
I mean, we already had Matt Knight on those older tires. We saw him struggle on the initial restart there, and just, I guess, trying to scramble to get out of everybody's way in a very tough situation here off of turn 4. Oh, wow, I almost thought maybe for a moment Cody Jordan may have turned Knight down into the 38 car, but no, it was just clear contact between the 38 and the 01, and Matt Knight taking the wild ride out of that as he clobbered the inside wall and the 2 front tires came off the ground.
I mean, I gotta say, Jeffrey Meyer might be one of the luckiest drivers out here. I went back to relook, and that was a lot of contact made between that 38 and everyone he was around, and just due to netcode, no damage on that right side for the 38. I am baffled by that.
There you saw the 9 of Cody Jordan going around off the nose of Ty McWhirter, and it was tough to tell who exactly came up into the 11 car, clipping White in that quarter panel. I'm not sure if that was Jordan or not. Nine's point of view. Kyle Payne also got into the 21. Looks like he may have run into the back of the 12 of Roger Gregory. Going to ride on board with the 12 car here through the incident. And there's just nowhere to go. There's just no reaction time. He's the one that gets into Knight. Oh, and he's also the one that clips the 11 of White in that left rear quarter panel, sending him around and giving him that damage.
Yeah, just one of those things of old tires to new tires, not knowing the closing rates, and it's just one of those things when you got cars on different strategies getting in the middle of this race, and we're getting closer and closer to the end of this thing. We just got past the halfway marker a couple of laps ago, and you know, it's one of those things of cautions breed cautions. With everyone so close, they're trying to make all the best moves they can to move themselves forward. I gotta say, Roger Gregory in the racing chat made probably the funniest comment so far, in my opinion. He's asking who's leading the modified class at the moment because of how many cars are destroyed right now.
Well, to answer his question, I think that'd be Hilton Young in the 08 right now in the 8th position. That's the first car I can see that does not have a front end. But, you know, another big reason, too, for at least these last 2 cautions has been that this has definitely turned into a tire strategy race. And we've keep kind of beating the dead horse of the fact that The fresher tires are going to be faster than the older tires, but the older tires are going to do everything they can to hold on to the track position they have, and things just get stacked up, especially coming off the corner. Turn 4 has been a big trouble spot, with drivers taking it 3 and sometimes 4 wide and causing those incidents on the front straightaway.
And just getting word that TJ Crampton might be out of tires. He might have came in too many times, getting too many tires repaired. And that 66 machine is going to have even a rougher time as he's in 10th place, but with no more tires to be picked up, that's going to be a long race on those old tires. I don't think that he can make it to the end with that long of a set on tires, because after about 60 laps or so, there is a possible chance of your tires blowing up on you. So I don't know if that 66 machine can make it to the end from here on out.
I don't know if you've been keeping an eye on it, but I've been kind of curious about the track temperature, because 2 restarts ago, we had a little bit of cloud cover over in turns 1 and 2. The sun is back out yet again, and I got to remember back to when we had the Pocono race, how the changing track conditions was something drivers talked about in the post-race interviews. Almost wonder if these drivers might be dealing with something like that here today as well.
Yeah, the track temp, there's been a lot more cloud cover here than it has been with sunshine on it. So the temp on the track has actually dropped by 10 degrees from the drop of the green. At the start of the race, it was 107 degrees. It's now 97 degrees track temp with 83 track with outside temp. So a lot cooler, not as slick, but still, these drivers are going to be loose off the corner as the pace car is off. Tim Williams taking us to the green.
Tim Williams with about a deficit of 35 lap older tires than the drivers behind him. Carson Bowers with that unbelievable restart before. He's going to try and swing around for the race lead. Here comes Logan Helton looking 3 wide out of turn 2.
You know, last restart was no contact in the back. It's the 66 and everyone else collected behind.
Elton Young down to the inside wall. Jeffrey Meyer, I think, may have gotten a piece as well. And the cautions continue to pile up here today at New Hampshire.
Elton Young just clipping the 66 and causing carnage behind suit.
Well, Hilton Young was the highest running modified. Now it's Barry Stevens. We're going to go back and see what happened this time out of turn 2. Like another 3 wide situation with Crampton in the middle, Hilton Young on the outside, and Jeffrey Meyer on the inside line.
It just got reports from John Jones coming into the chat saying hello, saying that the reason he spun around and had his issues was because of that track temp issues, and it just got so much looser than what these guys were expecting. So track temp, something to really watch out for, and it's been something to watch out for all season long. We always been starting these races off with high temperatures, and the cloud cover can save these drivers by cooling off the track, and sometimes it hurts whenever they cool off the track sometimes.
Well, Jeffrey Meyer had a near miss here. He does have the contact to the right front when both Crampton and Hilton Young come down into him, but watch here as we ride on board with him. I mean, there are tire barriers down on the inside here. As he spins down to the inside wall, watch how close he comes to possibly hitting them. Fortunately, because of the fact there's a road course section down there, it's almost like that asphalt helped him to slow his speed before getting to the tire barrier.
It's one of those things where we've seen a lot of drivers that have been sliding onto the inside on the backstretch, been able to save those machines from hitting the inside wall, but they've been extremely close all race long. We saw Tim Williams, who is in second at the moment. He had some issues down there before, and a couple other machines have had their issues. As Tim Williams is going to be relinquishing that second place and going to be dropping to the pits, getting them fresher tires.
I was just about to ask if Tim Williams had stayed out. You know, it'd be decision time here for Carson Bowers as to which driver behind him he'd want to give the advantage going into turns 1 and 2, whether it would have been Santini on the bottom or Helton on the top side. Now he's got to figure out whether he wants to possibly have Logan Helton follow him around the outside line to second place, or maybe start on that inside line and see if he can drag someone like Brandon Andrews in the 24 along with him.
It's going to be 9th on back coming into the pits And the driver that's going to be leading that suit is going to be the 19 machine. So these guys going to be trying to take off and having a great run. But, hey, man, it is going to be hard for these guys out here. Tim Williams has that slight damage, but he'll continue running out there, looking like the 21 machine going with a 2-tire stop. Different from everyone else. But everyone from 11th on back staying in the pits, trying to get damage repaired. And right now, it looks like McWhorter and White going to be battling it out, trying to see who's going to get out first. And it's going to be White, who was in there for quite a long time. He was in contact 2 cautions ago. 11 machine. Now he's on the fresher tires comparatively to our top 6.
Well, Carson Bowers coming into this race. This is his 16th start of the season. 3 finishes inside of the top 5, 6 inside of the top 10. He's about to set a season record personally, though. If he's able to complete, I think, this next lap, he will have led the most laps he has led all season long. Only 8 laps led coming into this race. Now, right now, he is showing the way here at New Hampshire. He also comes into this race right now already in a playoff spot of 10th. But a win would certainly solidify him into the playoffs and, of course, give him those added playoff points as well. 3 playoff points for a trip to victory lane. So Carson Bowers, eyes on the prize here as we get closer to the end of this regular season. And he's really, outside of maybe Matt White in the 11, the only car that we've seen really be up to speed as far as contention with our front row drivers of Santini and Helton.
I think Gordon in 5th place is also another driver to watch out for with speed. He hasn't really been challenging in our top 4 positions, but he does have some good speed to be up here with these guys. But yeah, Bauer, he has been having a great showing here today, really with some luck and getting by some of these slower traffics better. But now it's probably going to be his toughest aspect right now. He's going to be leading, and he's going to have a lot of hungry drivers behind him trying to get by him. Car hit with an EOL for that last caution is going to be Crampton, so he'll be starting all the way in the back. A lot of machines with a lot of damage back there, so I don't know how well those cars are going to drive around here at New Hampshire, but it is going to be still very tough for now the modified series behind the top, about 12th on back.
Yeah, I think right now, maybe the top 6 don't have any visible damage, perhaps. Chris Whitaker back there in 7th, Barry Stevens 8th, Ty McWhorter 9th. They've all been involved in something during the course of the day. As the green flag is out, good run there for Bowers on this start. He'll clear Santini going into turn 1 by maybe about a car length.
And Santini's not really going to dive it in too hard there. More so, it's going to be side-by-side action for your 3rd place. Is Elton not going to get really the jump that he wants through the center of the corner? It's going to give the 24 the advantage there.
Brandon Andrews, who's been running the number 5 for Junior Motorsports most of the season, now swapping his number over to the 24, and it may be giving him some good mojo here as he's trying to fight his way into a playoff position. But right now, trying to hold off Logan Helton in that 8 machine. That's the battle for 3rd.
Battle for 3rd is still heating up as Helton's going to make that pass, but back to 7th place is we're going to see Chris Whitaker. Freshest tires out there. He's going to be trying to make a lot of moves in that 2 machine. He does have damage on that car, but he's going to be trying to make moves as well as the 19, a machine of Tim Williams. Back here trying to get by Barry Stevens.
Whitaker went high. Williams going to go low as Stevens begins to free fall back towards the latter half of the top 10. Further back up to the front, the battle for the lead may be on. It's less than 2/10 from Bowers back to Santini, who drives it deep into turn 1. May have driven a little too deep as he got forced a little bit outside of his preferred line.
I mean, he had to go high if he didn't want to smash into Bowers. Able to stay soon as Tim Williams gets loose off the corner. Back there in 9th place. But this battle for the lead, Santini trying to figure out how he wants to challenge Carson Bowers. Just not able to do it at the moment. But here it comes, a great launch.
And also Logan Helton there because of the fact that Santini and Bowers had that moment over in turn 1, and then Santini backed off going into turn 3. Look at the 8 car. He wants 2 for the price of 1 going through the first 2 corners.
Not able to make the pass now for 2nd, but almost. That would have been such a bold move to try to slide past both drivers entering turn number 1. Not able to do so, slides back into 3rd.
Santini now in between the Colleague Racing Chevrolet of Bowers and his teammate out of BJ McLeod Motorsports, Logan Helton. The question is who makes the first move, and now you mentioned Joshua Gordon, add him into this. Your top 4 separated by less than a second.
Yeah, Gordon waiting to see if Elton makes another bold move, or Santini tries to make a pass for our leader. Gordon really, with this kind of a bubble that he has of fresh air between the 3 cars in front of him, he's able to gain on these guys. It's that launch off of 4, though, that's really our top 3 has over the 93.
And right now, if you're Carson Bowers, basically it's almost kind of like a one-groove racetrack type strategy. You want to run the line that you want to run, force guys like Santini and Logan Helton to run a line they may not be as comfortable with. In this case, it'd be that inside line.
We talked about earlier in the broadcast, the middle line is where you want to be. At least one line above from the yellow is where you want to be running your car. Force the car to be below there. You're not going to get the launch off that you want. The outside line will always be the better solution here, and Bowers is doing a great job defending where he needs to be, making it so difficult for everyone behind him that, Santini might have to use his bumper if he wants to make a pass here.
Yeah, right now for Bowers, the thing you cannot do is let Santini get to your right rear quarter panel, because then he'd be able to choose the line, the outside middle line, going through the corner. And now as Santini moves low, look at Logan Helton, see if he can get the run off of turn 2, get alongside his teammate. Not quite. 99 still to the left rear quarter panel of the 16, head to 3.
And here comes Santini on the inside, trying to make the pass here, and looks like he might be able to get it. Bowers trying to get the launch off the corner, and looks like he gets such a good launch. Surprised to see Helton helping the 16 car and following suit with the draft.
Bowers now entering into turn 1. Ooh, he got a little loose contact.
And here comes Helton on the inside, trying to possibly make a 3 wide, decides to back off just a little bit there.
And Joshua Gordon right now must have a bowl of popcorn in the cockpit with him, because he's getting a front row seat of all this going on ahead of him, saying, you guys continue to race it up. I'll be up there in just a minute. Then it's a gap back between him and Evan Longacre. So right now it's really these 4 battling out, as Bowers may have brushed the wall off of turn 4 just a bit.
Just a little bit of contact, not enough to hurt the 16, as they'll continue to stay in the lead. Santini, with him staying side by side and really pushing the inside line, he is heating up that front right tire, which is going to make him wear it down even quicker than he was before, as Helton now able to move up to second place. And now it's his turn for the BJ McLeod teammates to switch positions.
Well, these guys are having a heck of a battle back here, but there's also a great battle going on from 6th place on back. Brandon Andrews, Tim Williams, Chris Whitaker, they've been leaning on each other the last couple of laps in a 3-way fight for 6th.
As now Bowers able to hold on and feeling good.
Oh, Tim Williams pushes up the track. He really drove it into turn 1, almost took out Andrews, and then slid up and used Chris Whitaker to be able to slow down for the corner.
You really don't like to see that type of racing, but Rubbin is racing out here in the stock car machine, so might as well try something different. Tim Williams said he just wasn't expecting the 2-car to slow up as much as he did, so I had to utilize someone for some help.
You mentioned it when we were on a commercial break. New Hampshire is a mile in length, but a lot of people classify it as a short track. So you gotta you gotta bump here at this type of a racetrack.
And right now, the battle for the lead heating up again as Helton gave Bowers just about a lap and a half of breathing room, and now right back on the back bumper of the 16, making a hard charge move, but Bowers doing a fantastic job defending this lead.
Logan Helton looks like he wants to try and find a way around the outside, but much like his teammate Santini, may be forced to try something on the bottom. Looks like Carson Bowers, he enters just a little bit lower and then lets his car ride up there. I think right now what he's doing is trying to make that rear bumper as wide as possible going into these turns.
Yeah, utilize that course as much as you can. Make it so that everyone else has to try to maybe do a crossover move. Utilize the outside. And, Helton, he can get closer and run that 3rd lane if needed, but it's just not the preferred line for carrying the most speed, but it will give you the best launch off. That might be where he wants to get the advantage, is Helton, once again, just drifting a little bit higher and higher every time as Bauer defends the low side more and more.
And obviously the draft might come into play in this a little bit, but fastest car on track last time around, 4th place running Joshua Gordon.
And our leaders at the moment are coming up to lap traffic. The first car that they're going to get up to is going to be Kyle Payne in that 21 machine. They'll be getting up to him in the next about 3 to 5 laps. Just an update for cars that have dropped out of the race. The 20 machine of Ty McWhirter, he is disconnected and his race is done. As the battle for the lead heating up again, here comes Helton on the inside.
He's going to try and get alongside of Carson Bowers off 2. Lost a ton of momentum, though. Here comes Santini for second, and that actually opened up some daylight between these two and Carson Bowers. About 3 car lengths now going into turn 3.
It's the exact same situation that happened to Santini at the start of this run when he fell from second to third and just trying to make that inside line work, but you lose so much momentum that you lose second place and have to fall back into third and wait to see the car in front of you trying to make that challenge for the lead.
You talk about Ty McWhirter out of the race. Hilton Young has also hit pit road. Unscheduled stop for him. All of a sudden, we had 18 cars on the lead lap. We now only have 11 cars on the lead lap. As we saw just moments ago, Kyle Payne going a lap down to the leaders.
Update for cars in the middle of the course. Matt White is trying to make a pass on Barry Stevens for 9th place, but really, this battle for the lead with these 3 machines is intense at the moment as Bowers gets a little bit of contact from Santini, pushing him down.
And now Santini tries to get to the outside, again to the bumper of the 16 car. Earlier on, we saw Logan Helton do a 4-wheel slide out of turn 4. These guys, they are using up everything they can, the tires, each other, the track, and we've still got 40 laps to go.
I mean, BJ McLeod, they're trying to get back into that winner's circle. They've been not able to do so for the last couple of weeks. They want to continue on to those runs of being so dominant, but Carson Bowers is doing everything he can to hold off these drivers as now we're on lap 112.
Yeah, you're talking about that streak that they were on. 4 trips to victory lane for Santini, 2 for Helton, who may have just barely gotten the right rear with the outside wall off of turn 2. But the last 2 weeks, they have not gone to victory lane. They have finished runner-up in the past 2 races, however. With Helton, I think it was runner-up at Indy Road Course, and Santini runner-up last week at the Kentucky Speedway. So definitely they want to get back into victory lane here. And again, Santini looking to use the bumper to turn 1.
I like where the 93 car is at. He's watching the 3 cars in front of him, battling, trying everything. Santini and Helton both loose off of 2 there. And, you know, the 93 just saving his tires, watching these guys utilize every single opportunity they can and really burning themselves as contact between the top 3.
Gracious, chain bumping through the corner, the 8 into the 99, into the 16, slower car ahead. Crampton's going to move low, give the drivers the preferred line.
Oh, he did not give the preferred line completely, as he's going to drift up and get in the way of the 93.
And that actually drifts the 99 up the track of Santini. Helton gets to his inside as Gordon now loses touch with the top 3.
You thought for sure the 66 was just going to slow up, let everyone pass him, but he decided to take the corner and be extremely aggressive as he was already a couple of laps down. You hate to see that type of racing, but now it's given all this space to Bowers, who's now starting to pull away from our other 2 drivers.
And of course for Carson Bowers as well, being able to run the line he wants to run, he's, to your point, being able to save his tires just the least little bit, forcing Santini and Helton to use up their stuff trying to run that lower line is Joshua Gordon. We saw him drift back. Now he's starting to reel 3rd and 2nd place back in yet again.
I mean, I got to say, John Jones must be loving seeing this going down as the front 2 at the moment. They started off with those Jones Racing setups, and now they're up front showing how good his setups are.
Yeah, we see again Logan Helton brushing the wall, that time off of turn 4. I mean, he is using up his stuff a ton, and now it may cost him because that brings Joshua Gordon back into his vicinity in a battle for the 3rd position. Meanwhile, lap times, a 10th quicker that last time by for Santini. He's reeling Carson Bowers back in for the race lead. And with every lap that ticks away, we've already seen Santini with the willingness to use the bumper. Each bump's going to be harder as they go on.
Helton grazing the wall more and more, and it's just, you got to wonder, he loves a loose racetrack, a loose car, but, you know, you're starting to see Santini get loose as well, and you got to know that these guys are utilizing every much of their grip as they can, but at the end of the day, I'm loving Gordon more and more as the race goes on.
Again, Bowers going to enter a little bit lower, let his car drift up off the corner and block any run that Santini might get on the outside line. Santini looked low, back on the bumper, now peeks to the inside again going into turn 1.
They're trying to figure out how to make this pass as clean as possible. As here comes Santini on the inside, not trying to spin out our leader of Bowers, but also just trying to figure out how to get by the 16 car, as loose once again for Santini.
So far, we have worked 8 caution flags here tonight, and right up here, inside of this top 4, might be where our 9th one will be looming as we're closing in on 30 laps to go. Carson Bowers trying to pull off, I guess we could kind of call it an upset here today with the dominance that we've seen out of the BJ McLeod cars, but when you consider just how much speed he has shown all race long, whether he's been in the lead or back in 3rd place or up to 2nd place, he's definitely been on a level playing field with these Supras.
Yeah, I mean, Carson Bauer, he started this qualifying run being less than a 10th away from these BJ McLeod guys. Qualified 3rd, starting up front close to these guys, and our top 3 in qualifying, top 3 right now, running right now.
Tim Williams right now the highest driver with the freshest tires, but he has not had track position on his side to take advantage of that. Right now back in 6th, trying to reel in Evan Longacre for a spot up inside of the top 5, but he is running nearly 3.5 seconds behind this 4-way battle for the potential win.
Update on the 66 on why he wasn't able to really slow up. It looked like his tires locked up for him. Those tires, you got to remember, he's been on those sets for so long that he has not been able to change up any of his tires. He's been out there for almost 50, almost 60 laps. So those front right tires are just wearing down so much. That's why he drifted up into our lead cars.
Oh my goodness, it's going to be another battle for the lead as Santini got through 3 and 4 pretty nice. I'm sorry, that's 1 and 2. Got to the left rear quarter panel, but then could not get the power down off of turn 2. So again, Bowers to the lead. And just to bring you guys up to date as well, as all this is going on for the race lead, potentially the race win, our 4 drivers battling for playoff spots. Right now, Joshua Gordon's the highest in 4th. Brandon Andrews right now in 7th. And according to my calculations, he could very well be in a playoff position right now with Stevens and Jordan running back in 10th and 11th.
And Gordon is getting inching closer and closer to the 8 machine, waiting to pounce, waiting to try to split up these BJ McLeod guys. It's just not happening at the moment, but you know Gordon's been saving his tires a lot better than what we've been seeing our front 3 doing. As this 93 machine trying to figure out how to get by the 8, as well as Santini trying to figure out to get by the 16.
More traffic to deal with. That's Matt Knight in the 0-1 car. Looks like they may catch him probably coming out of turn 2, potentially on the back straightaway. He's going to try and move high out of their way, force the leaders to go to the inside.
Oh,
line.
Hilton!
That's close.
Almost ran right into the 01, able to get by, and those little moments with lap traffic, you gotta hope that you catch them at the right time and it doesn't slow you up, but it seems like every single time they pass lap traffic, the gap between 1st and 2nd splits up, and then they close in after about 3 laps.
One thing I've also noticed as well is Carson Bowers has been able to run his line, more importantly, off the exit of the corner. He's been able to put a nice little foot of distance between his right side and that outside wall. Santini and Helton, who are fighting for everything they can get off the corner, have been the ones that have nearly been brushing the wall every lap.
And these guys running extremely hard. And I know we were joking about it earlier as the modified series, quote unquote, for how damaged some of these back drivers are. Leading that charge would be the 78 and 10th place for Barry Stevens.
Of course, this is a very important run for Barry Stevens, just based on the fact that, you know, he has been maybe one of the more consistent drivers up inside of the top 10 week after week. Got involved in an incident that was not of his making. You can see the whole front end of that car is gone, and he's still trying to fight for a playoff spot. This is a guy who we talked to about 6 weeks ago who is still in the triple digits of points behind a playoff spot. Now it's a single-digit number, 2 points back of 12th in the standings coming into this race.
You might have seen a little bit of smoke puffing in front of our leaders. That is the 21 who's still blinking in and out. This could be an issue for our leaders as the car that they're trying to get up to that's blinking is in front of them. They've got 3 lap machines in front of them. It's kind of the start of the modified series. If you've got Payne, the 2 car of Whitaker, as well as Jordan, as they're all running hard in front of these guys.
Battle for 3rd, and it's over. Joshua Gordon will take the spot from Logan Helton. You gotta wonder if Helton's used up all of his stuff trying to get around his teammate Santini, and to your point, with Bowers maybe using up his stuff to hold off the 99, Santini using up his stuff to pass the 16, could be a prime position to pounce for that 93 car of Gordon right now in the 3rd position.
New Hampshire has just been known as a tire eater, and with these cars swapping back and forth, trying to make every move they can, fishtailing it out of turn 2 and 4, You know that they've been using up a lot of stuff, and here comes Gordon on the inside for second.
That car is really good from the center of the corner off, being able to drive it down to the inside. Looks almost similar to what he was able to do when he had those fresher tires as opposed to others.
Gordon on the inside!
3 wide! Holy cow! Almost going to be 4 wide off the corner as they try and get around Crampton 66, and Gordon may clear for the lead when they get down here into 3.
Joshua Gordon not able to clear it. Now he's still side by side for second with Santini pushing hard and pushing the 16. But Gordon on the inside makes it clean, and he's up into the lead.
Joshua Gordon to the front. Now let's see how much he saved. How much of a gap will he be able to put between himself and this battle that continues to rage, but now for the second position.
And I got Helton on the outside, challenging for third place, as now he's trying to get by. And honestly, right now, Bowers is holding up the BJ McLeod guys. He tried to be defending this whole entire time. It's not working anymore. Now he's just letting Gordon pull away, who's just been sitting, waiting for his chance to pounce on our leaders, and finally did it with about 20 laps to go.
And now he's got clean air as well. That last time by, fastest car on track, running a 32.6. That time a 32.2. Only 2 other drivers up here inside the top 5 ran the 32s, but they were 32.7s and 8s.
And he's got a lot of clean air in front of him. 9 seconds before he gets up to Barry Stevens, and that's the next car that he'll be lapping down, as it's almost a corner of a lead between our leader and the next car he'll be putting a lap down, as the challenge now is just back for second. Ken Bowers and Helton, as they're challenging. Bowers is trying to hold off and save this second place position and have a good run, as the lead is just gone.
RSS Racing does not have a win yet this season. Right now, Jeffrey Meyer is locked into a playoff spot via points. We could see a second driver from that team lock themselves in here tonight, and it's so interesting too because of the 4 drivers we talked about coming into this race trying to vie for that 12th playoff position. It was 17 points back for Joshua Gordon. In these next upcoming races, he could have easily pointed his way in, but he doesn't want to rely on that. He wants a win to lock himself up a playoff spot.
I think he did play the best opossum move possible for these guys. He let the front 3 race as hard as they want, wasting their tires away, as he just casually watched these guys, saving it up, coasting it in, not utilizing any of the tires he needed to use. Now over a 1.5-second gap between himself and second place of Carson Bowers, who Bowers right now is just trying his best to hold off. And we haven't even talked about 5th place. Evan Longacre, he's back in the top 5.
The streak may be alive yet again here, as last week was the first time in about 7 weeks that Evan Longacre finished outside of the top 5. And right now, I mean, how about Colleague Racing? Great runs for them here today, with Bowers still in 2nd, Longacre in 5th, and Matt White, who's had to fight his way from the back up to the front not once but twice. He's back there still in the 8th position.
Matt White on some of the fresher tires out here. It's only about 14 fresher tires than the cars he's around, so a lot of the tires have equaled out, but he's having a great run with all the EOLs that he's had, the challenges. 8th place is not a bad day for a car that had the potential of a top 4.
And if I jinx it right now, he can blame me, but the last thing that Joshua Gordon wants to see right now is a caution, because he has over 2 seconds between himself and this continuing battle for the second position. And I just looked back through the statistics here. Joshua Gordon's best finish this season, 3rd place, that was back at Charlotte. That was 8 weeks ago.
I'm happy that you were the one who said it, because I've been thinking about it for the past 5 laps. Do I say it or not? And you were the one that took that from me. So thank you. If it gets jinxed, it's all on Seth. As right now, the challenge for second place still heating up, and now you got Santini getting over under Helton once again, and just not able to. What we're used to seeing Santini being the most solid car and really not getting fishtailing or loose. That car is struggling at the moment with how much they've been wearing and tearing and bumping on one another.
You know, that's a great point, too, and I was thinking about that around the midway point of this long run, was the fact that so many times we go to these tracks, we see drivers sliding off the corner, but Santini always seems to be the most stable. This has been really the most struggle that we've seen out of him so far this season since we started broadcasting.
Yeah, we're used to seeing it's always Helton, the one that's loose and staying with Santini. And now it's just been Santini and Helton both fishtailing off the corners. But wow, it's incredible to see Gordon with this huge lead. Now 2.2 seconds as the laps are just ticking away. A caution is what our drivers from second to fourth need if they want another chance at this lead. But Gordon hoping to not see that and us to get to the white flag.
All right, now if you're Gordon, you saved a little bit there when the top three were racing each other. You've now got over a 2-second lead. Do you maybe back your pace down just the least little bit to make sure that you're going to have fresh enough tires to get to the end?
I mean, right now, his one challenge in front of him is going to be the 78 of Barry Stevens. And we've seen Stevens be someone who races aggressive and tries to hold his line, stay on the lead lap, as he is the last car on the lead lap at the moment. Will he get out of the way for a leader, or will he try to stay suit to help his teammates? We've seen him do it before. Will he do it again?
Did it back at the Indy Road Course when he had tried to hold off Brendan Burcroft, who was going to put him a lap down, but doesn't look like he's going to have anything to be able to hold off Joshua Gordon. Gordon's going to clear him, put him a lap down. So with Stevens now going -1, only 8 cars remain on the lead lap as we're closing in on 10 laps to go at New Hampshire.
With 10 laps to go, I think we might still see Gordon get up to this lap traffic in front of him, as they're, again, once about 7 seconds in front of our leader. So might be able to catch them here in the next 10 laps. But really, I think Gordon could back down and feel comfortable as he's getting closer and closer to making this gap second. 3 seconds as our top second to fourth all still right on top of one another.
Lou Helton may have gotten the wall again there off of turn 2. And just to put it into perspective for everybody here too, of just why we were getting so excited with this 4-way battle for the lead is because the longest green flag run we had up to this point was 25 laps. That was back in the very beginning stages of this race. That battling was going on with these drivers out there on 40 to 45 lap old tires. So just the fact that they were slipping and sliding, screaming for grip, made it all that more exciting and all that more nerve-wracking to see if they'd be able to get through those battles cleanly.
Santini must be frustrated. Every single time he gets down to the quarter panel, he's not able to get by the 16 machine as he graces the wall just a little bit, entering turn number 3. And Santini trying to get by Bowers, just not able to. I'm trying to think. I think Santini last week said he was kind of excited for New Hampshire, and we always talk about every single time he says he's not feeling comfortable about a race, he does well. We'll have to wait and see where he finishes now, as Barry Stevens in the way right now, kind of holding up second place of Carson Bowers and not letting him go on by, which is helping his teammates just a little bit here.
Yes, it is. Right now, Barry Stevens trying to be a team player and get his 2 teammates there up to second and third. Now moves up the track and has to give way to Carson Bowers. Right now, 2 drivers en route to get their best finishes of their career this season, with Gordon out in front, Bowers currently in second, and Gordon has crossed the threshold, less than 10 laps to go.
And Bowers still, I mean, I can't wait to talk to him and figure out how it felt getting absolutely mauled, because he was getting absolutely pushed by the 8, the 99. Everyone's trying to just get by him, but he's just been a stone wall for these guys, not able to let him go.
Yeah, I mean, we mentioned before that Carson Bowers was one of maybe 8 drivers out there with no damage to his race car prior to that last restart. That rear bumper is completely caved in. It may be pushed into the fuel tank. Santini has hit it so hard so many times.
He's hit it so many times that now actually is kind of affecting the spoiler just a little bit, which can help the 99. Off the corners, oh, Santini almost loses it.
Tried to dart it to the outside and then had to catch it as it turned back to the left.
Update on cars that are running in the middle of the pack. Matt White has finally caught up to Brandon Andrews in that 24 machine, as White will soon try to make the pass for 7th place and trying just to do the best he can right now with how many EOLs and challenges that 11's had all day.
Oh, he took it way wide up the corner though there, as he's going to maybe lose a spot here. Actually, this isn't for position. Jeffrey Meyer going to close in on him. Meyer right now running 13 laps down in the 16th position. So all of a sudden that battle for the 7th position is gone, as White having a little bit of an issue
battle
there.
For second, side by side. Santini finally got under the 16 once again. Not able to do it and will lose. That's 3rd place position, with Helton now moving into 3rd place.
And Bowers has had Santini beaten on his bumper. Now what happens with Helton behind him? And this is going on now 5 seconds behind Joshua Gordon. So Gordon right now setting sail, has a huge gap from himself back to this continuing battle for 2nd place. and only has nearly 5 more circuits before he picks up his first win here in the Rapid Fire Pizza National Series, and more importantly, locks himself into this season's playoffs.
Yeah, what's crazy is the longer this run goes on, the more Gordon starts to pull away from the 3 cars behind him. Almost a 5.5 second gap, 5 laps to go, come to 4 to go once he crosses the line, and Logan Helton able to finally get by Bowers, and Bowers try to fight back.
Bowers now drifts to 3rd. We'll see if he can maybe get a run here to the inside of Helton. Woo! Pushed up almost into the left rear quarter panel. Might have been just a tap to the back bumper. Here comes Santini now looking for 3rd, and there's some of these guys back here, some great comeback runs. Chris Whitaker, who was involved in 2 of our cautions today. He looks like he may be in a top 10 with 9th place. Barry Stevens right now. We mentioned that he was involved in an earlier incident. No Hood. Right now he's running in the top 10. So some of these guys, despite it being a bit of a demo derby in the middle of this race,
contact!
Gracious drove it deep into the corner and nearly sent the 8 car around.
Oh, the 8 car almost goes around again.
Oh, his engine blew. His engine blew up.
Helton, with what's looking like a decent day, just went up in smoke, so that engine going away.
So the question is, did Bowers drive it in too deep, or was the 8 car losing power when he got in the entrance of that corner?
That could have been a little bit of payback that then cost him just a little bit. It's hard to tell what exactly caused him to blow up there, as he didn't hit the wall at all. So I don't know what caused him to blow up, but that is disastrous. And, it was a little bit of payback with how many times that Bowers been hit, but I think he just came in a little bit too aggressive as Bowers gets off a little bit loose as we're coming to 2 to go.
2 laps to go. Santini to the outside of Bowers now for 2nd place, as Joshua Gordon just wants to see that white flag in the flagman's hands when he comes around this time. He doesn't want the flag to be yellow, because if it's white, we are racing to the checkers no matter what.
That's right. Now that 93 coming closer and closer. Santini able to get by Bowers, and Bowers now back to 3rd. He's got a 2.5 second gap between the 16 and the 10. But Santini finally got by and now able to pull away. As now it's looking good for the 93 as he's on the backstretch.
New Hampshire's known as the Magic Mile. Well, Joshua Gordon working some magic here today. Came into this race 17 points back from a playoff spot. He will head into Kansas next week. One of your 12 playoff contenders is off turn 4. Joshua Gordon, first win of the season in the Rapid Fire Pizza National Series, takes the checkers today at New Hampshire.
Santini, after a hard-fought battle for this whole entire last stint behind Bowers, gets by him, gets 2nd. Bowers with 3rd, and Longacre going to get 4th. And with sneaking in a top 5, it's going to be Tim Williams.
Williams, who we saw almost airborne on the back straightaway earlier on after hitting the rumble strips of the road course section. Going to bring that Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota home in 5th place. Matt White able to battle back to the 6th position. Brandon Andrews will finish in 7th. Chris Whitaker is going to be the first car 1 lap down. He'll finish in 8th, followed by Stevens and Jordan. And right now, we talked about the battle for that final playoff position. With Jordan moving in, this now shifts guys like Andrews and Stevens and Jordan outside the cutoff line.
And now what they need to get top 5, top 10 finishes, and Stevens and Jordan both got a top 5 finish here today, but they need to get a lot better finishes here, beating out a lot more of the guys that they're challenging with, because this is going to be a difficult road for those guys with so many tracks just left. We're getting closer and closer to playoff time.
Absolutely. And boy, we get closer and closer to playoff time, and we start to see the drivers that really need good runs start to get them. You take a look here at Joshua Gordon, top of the board. He is now locked into the playoffs, which means that it looks like 2 of the RSS Racing Chevrolets will be representing in the playoffs. Jeffrey Meyer way up there in the point standings as well. Santini going to finish the day out 2nd, Bowers 3rd. Longacre is going to try and put another streak of top 5s together with a 4th place run. Tim Williams going to finish the day out in 5th place. And I think if we look here as well, another finishing position that is really important, if we go a little bit further down here in the finishing results, Roger Gregory struggling a little bit here today. And he was a driver that came into this race above the cutoff line by 71 points, with the fact that some of these guys that we mentioned, like Jordan, like Stevens, like Andrews, finished up ahead of him. There's still plenty of time here in this regular season. I know we mentioned that there's not a whole lot of time, but there is time for drivers to still try and point their way in, and time for drivers to fall out points-wise.
Yeah, there's still a lot of time, and just one bad finish could really ruin your day. I want to give a huge shout out to TJ Crampton, who should have blown one of his tires at some point. Somehow, this guy drove around and he looked at his tires. For people that know iRacing, his right front was so low. It was 002, which means his inside and his middle had zero grip. It had zero effort at all. It should have blown up 2 laps ago, but it kept on chugging along, and he was able to finish out this race.
Salvaging what could have very well been a finish outside of the top 20 today to finish in the 13th position. Another driver that also struggled with connection issues all race long, Kyle Payne, going to bring it home in 12th. And of course, we saw Logan Helton, the engine expire on that car with about 3 laps to go. He's going to finish the evening out in the 11th position officially. Another driver as well that could fit into the category with Roger Gregory is Kevin Roy. It was only 45 points to the good, and he finished out of the race in the 20th position. So the points will still be awfully close, but it'll now be just outside of the cutoff line heading into Kansas next week. And we're now going to get some of our top 3 finishers, find out what they felt about the slipping and sliding conditions here today at New Hampshire. And we're going to kick things off with 3rd place finishing Carson Bowers. Carson, it's Sam and Seth up here in the Flatout Racing Network studios. You got us?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, you were right in the middle of everything here on that last green flag run. You restarted as the race leader. You then had challenges from the 99, the 8. You had the 93 get around you, but a lot of beating and banging here. We know New Hampshire's a mile in length, but must have felt like a short track out there to you.
Yeah, that was an insane race. I was just trying to hold off the 99 and the 8 because I knew they were coming, and any mistake would just let them by me, trying to get that win when you're really close to that cutoff. But we still brought it home 3rd, so nothing really bad about that.
Talk about that near moment that you had going into turn 1. I think it was the 8 getting into the back of you there, and you almost spin it around. The 2 of you make some more contact, and then later on, contact between the 2 of you over there into turn 3. Was there a little bit of payback there, or was that just hard racing?
I mean, yeah, I was pretty mad that I got punted from 2nd place there. So it was a little bit of both, He braked before I did, but, it's also that revenge, trying to get back at him and say I'm not going to be pushed around like that. But still a fun race. I messaged him after the race saying, sorry about that, but, you raced me like that.
Yeah, a little bit of retaliation there, Carson. I mean, a great run on your part. You qualified quite well in 3rd. You finished 3rd. With the middle of the race, with how many cautions were coming out, what was your mindset with all those cautions coming out? Was it just difficult to get into a rhythm there?
Definitely difficult to get into a rhythm, and then having that long run at the end where we had just been caution fest. It was really kind of interesting to see how the car would react. But I was actually hoping there would be some more cautions, so that would kind of help me out, try and get some new tires and see if I could run away from the 99 and the 8 again. But it happens.
You bring up the tires, and Sam alluded to the fact that middle portion of the race, a lot of those restarts taking place in 5 to 10 lap intervals. The longest run before this last run to the checkered flag we had was at the beginning of the race, 25 laps. What did the car feel like out there on about 70 lap old tires there near the end?
I mean, it was plowing straight, having to brake way earlier, and especially towards those last 3 laps, since we had those issues with getting into Logan and stuff. My car started to overheat, so I was just trying to hang on to it and hope my teammate didn't come in and catch me.
Well, Carson, obviously we talked to you last week. You got back-to-back 3rd place finishes here in the last 2 weeks. Last week's run helped you to be able to gap yourself further from that 12th position in the standings. Now it's going to be an even bigger gap here, getting you a little bit closer towards a playoff position. So obviously great momentum on your side, and we're going to do some shout-outs now.
Yeah, definitely got to do those shout-outs. Jones Racing Setups just came on board again this week, provided our setups. We were actually on the same setup as the 99, So working with that and, Breezy Racewear, they sponsor me. They've gotten me into real life racing, and just everybody, FSM Customs, the Memorial Yearns, everybody that really just helps this league. Jones Racing Setups was sponsoring it, and just everybody that really helps sponsor the league. It really helps.
That's Carson Bowers. He brings it home with another top 3 finish here this evening, this time at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Wish you luck next week as we're going to be going to potentially another fuel strategy race at Kansas.
Yeah, thank you.
And let's get our second place finisher, David Santini. David, it's Sam and Seth up here in the Flatout Racing Network studios. You got us?
Hey, I got you guys.
Well, we probably saw you use your front bumper more than we've seen you use it in the last few weeks. I mean, gracious. Beating and banging out there, short track style racing at New Hampshire, and you were right in the center of it.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much what it felt like. This track is a one groove track. I mean, pretty much if it's not there, you're not getting around anybody. Some of those bumps weren't intentional, but he was a little slower in 1 and 2 for sure. And just getting in deeper, I'd get into, and I was like, I don't want to turn him, but I want to get him out of the way. So I was trying my best to do what I could without wrecking him. But thankfully, we didn't get into anything there. No wrecks. So we kept it clean, which was a lot of fun, and good win to Josh.
We saw when you were out in front, your car looked really stable, but then you were back in traffic and it looked like you were really fighting the race car. Was it just the fact that New Hampshire's a one groove racetrack, or were there some changing track conditions you had to deal with as well?
It was nice. I thought if you would stay out on a long run, your tires, you would need tires, but thankfully they would cool down, and I mean, you could run pretty good laps again. So tires weren't too big of an issue unless they heated up. And then I think that's what got us there at the end with Josh, him just having nicer tires and just being able to kind of sit back and then attack everybody all at once while we were all up front battling, which was fun. It was fun to see. So, I mean, it was a fun race, even though it was a one group track for sure.
Yeah, I mean, David, we got a couple of questions for you. I mean, first and foremost, how do you keep mentally focused and not get too frustrated with it being a one group track? And then also, with the tires, we heard from Carson with him almost overheating. With you guys being so close to one another, was there any overheating problems for you?
Oh yeah, no, definitely frustration for sure. I mean, I know me and Logan were up front. We were talking. It's like, man, we just want to get around him. We don't want to dump him, but we're trying to do everything we can. And then, him just cutting down. It's like, it was really frustrating. But like I said, you can't. The last thing you want to do is dump somebody like that and ruin such good racing up front. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it was a lot of fun. What was the second part of that question then?
Were you having any overheating issues at the end of that run?
For sure. I mean, when we were tight like that, I was blinking. I thought for sure I was going to blow up. Logan caught it there the last 3 laps to go or something like that. He ended up blowing up from overheating. And yeah, once I even got past Carson there, I was still blinking, and I was like, oh man, I didn't know if I was going to blow up till the end of it. So it definitely was an issue. I wasn't sure if it was damage from us getting into him. Or what it was, but I think it was just so much tape and just being so close that it was an issue for sure.
Obviously, David, I mean, unbelievable racing here tonight, up at the front of the field, through the center of the field, to the rear of the field. What is it about a track like New Hampshire that has that kind of pack racing?
I don't know. This was, like I said, this was actually my first race here. It was a lot of fun. The best way I can describe it is maybe like a large Martinsville is what it felt like to me. Which I typically don't really like the short tracks because of the beating and banging, but it was a lot more fun. Maybe because it was a little bit more open and it gave you a little bit more room to work with. But the single groove was a little frustrating. Like I said, when you had clean air and you were out in front, I mean, you could go. If you were behind somebody, it was like, unless you push them out of the way, I don't know how you're getting around them. Unless they let you go. But no, it was a lot of fun. It was a good race for sure.
It was a blast for us to be able to watch up here, especially that last 70-lap green flag run. Obviously, you don't go to victory lane, but the good finishes continue to pile up here. Another podium finish. You continue to build your points lead as well, heading towards that extra playoff points for the regular season championship. So, as we start heading into Kansas rather, we're going to do some shout-outs now.
Yeah, and I also forgot, I just want to give a huge shout-out to John over at Jones Setups, too, for giving me the setup this week. That thing was a rocket. So big thanks to him. Shout out to him. And of course, Rapid Fire Pizza, Shorba's Racing Graphics, FSM Customs, and Abiding Love More Earns. And of course, you guys up in the booth for doing the broadcast every week.
That's David Santini. He brings it home second place here tonight at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. A great run. It was a blast to watch, and good luck next week at Kansas.
Thanks, guys.
And down in victory lane, let's get RSS Racing's first winner of the season, Joshua Gordon. Joshua, it's Sam and Seth up here in the Flatout Racing Network studios. You got us?
Yeah.
Well, walk us through those final 20 or so laps. You're riding there in that fourth position. We got the idea that you were saving your stuff, and then you picked the time to pounce, and after you got around those three, you were gone.
Yeah, I tell you, we worked, RSS worked real hard on this setup. We really wanted to look at that long run. And after about 15 laps, I'd take a look at his tires and saw that right front. And I said, we got a winning piece here, at least top three. And we got that long run. And I mean, I could tell that we were probably better than those guys because I was just eating them up in the center of the corner, and I was just keeping everything in just to keep off of them. And then I found an opportunity, and I took it, and it worked out. I mean, I'll tell you what, you guys must have had a blast watching that because that was fun.
Oh, absolutely. We were going crazy up here watching you guys less than half a second covering the top four there. You know, when we're up here in the broadcast booth, we focus a lot on statistics. We obviously focus on the points as we close in towards the end of the regular season. Don't know how much you as a driver focus on that, but you came into this race 17 points behind that final playoff spot cut line. Now with this win, you're locked into the playoffs. How much pressure does that take off of you?
I feel like it takes a lot of pressure off. I really needed this win just to, I mean, we were getting some top fives and we had a little bit of bad luck and stuff, but I felt like the cars were good. But we just needed that win just to get some boost. And hopefully this is a sign for many more.
Yeah, I mean, Josh, you were just watching and waiting for that time. How was it getting to watch those guys beating and banging in front of you?
It was nerve-wracking. Some of them, I was just like, I can't believe we haven't wrecked yet. I mean, it was just so close. It was so fun. I had a blast, and to win one like this is just awesome. I mean, yeah, you would love to go out there and race these guys and just smoke them and, you know, lead almost all the laps and stuff. But when you get races like this and you win it, man, it just feels good.
You know, before we let you do your shout-outs, Josh, there's just one other question I wanted to ask you here pertaining towards the midway point of this race when we had quite a number of those restart cautions. You elected to come down pit road, get fresh tires. You restarted up there, I think it was around the 10th position, and on one of those restarts, you worked from 10th up to 6th. How difficult was it being able to judge the braking zones that you had on fresh tires as opposed to the drivers on older tires ahead of you?
It was pretty difficult. I think the biggest thing was when the run I would get coming off the corners. I felt like that was where you were just eating them, and you can't just run over a guy, you know. So you really had to be easy on it. And then if you tried too hard, you know, my car was pretty loose coming off the corners. You really had to ease into the throttle. So I thought getting in the corner, it was pretty equal. Everybody was good, but getting off the corner was when I had to really watch what I was doing.
Well, Joshua Gordon came into tonight outside of the playoffs, and after tonight, he'll be heading into Kansas in a playoff spot. Congratulations on a great win. We're going to let you do some shout-outs now.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Rapid Fire Pizza and Shorebird Racing Graphics, FSM Customs, and Abide Loving Memorial Urns. Without them, we can't race. I got to thank Dry Dean as well and Essex on the Superior Essex on the car. I also want to apologize to the 20 car. I know I got into him, and I feel bad. That's not how I like to race. Hopefully he got a decent finish out of it. It was really tough to pass, but it's still no excuse to give him a little bump and send him sailing. So I want to apologize for that too.
Well, we can now say playoff contender Joshua Gordon heads into Kansas next week, picking up his first win of the season here in the Rapid Fire Pizza National Series. Congrats. Go enjoy your victory, Josh.
Thank you.
And we already alluded to it, Sam. You know, we're getting down to the nitty-gritty. We're getting down to the end of the regular season. It's now time for drivers that are below that cut line to start making moves. Joshua Gordon did it here tonight.
Yeah, I mean, Joshua Gordon, someone we were looking at as a contender, really, with the different strategies he was doing in the middle of this race, and it really set him up to figure out how to win this race at the end. And his patience was the key for him getting by these guys that were wearing and using their tires so much more than what everyone else was.
You know, we look at the past couple of races we've been at. Indy road course, it obviously came down to who is able to execute the best around that road course configuration. Last week in Kentucky, came down really to track position, as we saw TJ Crampton after he got out in clean air. He dominated that race. Tonight, it was all about tires and tire conservation. Gordon able to move from 4th up to the race lead. Next week, we go to Kansas. That's a type of track that kind of screams to me fuel strategy.
Yeah, Kansas has always been a fuel strategy type of race. It's kind of like what we were going to see from last week at Kentucky, where it's a lot of figuring out and getting that track position, as well as trying to have the best fuel run and tire conservation mode to figure out how to have that best scenario where you're up front at the end of the race.
Well, if you guys enjoyed tonight's race, you'll want to tune in tomorrow night. The Soda Guys Cup Series is going to be here at New Hampshire as well. Green flag will be flying at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then, of course, as we alluded to, next Friday night, Rapid Fire Pizza National Series continue their regular season as they'll be at Kansas Speedway for some 1.5-mile racing there. And as we alluded to, could be a fuel strategy race. But crazy race here tonight. An unbelievable finish. Joshua Gordon going to victory lane for the first time this season, solidifying himself a playoff spot. Sam, as always, appreciate you joining me in the booth.
It's always a pleasure there, Seth.
We apologize for the technical difficulties we had the sound at the early portions of this race, but fortunately we got it finished out and an unbelievable race here tonight at the Magic Mile. For Samuel Dyer, I'm Seth Cole. Thanks for tuning in this evening to another broadcast courtesy of the Flatout Racing Network.